We're recording, so whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Joel. Good afternoon, everybody. We'll give it a couple of more minutes. Probably get started with Rich here at 11:02.
We need some elevator hold music or something.
I used to do that in my WebEx. I could run a platform in the background to play some stock music, but I haven't bothered to set it up with this version.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Maybe I'll figure that out this summer and we can start jamming to elevator music in our downtime.
Welcome, everybody. We're going to give it one more minute. One more minute. I've got 11:02 on my clock, so let's go ahead and get started. We've got 2 attendees and 3 presenters. I think that's good enough for government work. Welcome, everyone. My name is Jason Nitschke. I'm Vice President at Great Falls Development Authority, an economic development organization serving the Golden Triangle of North Central Montana. Thank you for joining us for the Small Business Webinar Series 2021. Rich Gannon from the Great Falls Area Small Business Development Center is going to talk to us today about reducing payment friction to be able to sell and collect capital on your website. I want to first start by acknowledging the sponsors for our webinar series, the U.S. Small Business Administration, the Montana Small Business Development Centers affiliated with Montana Department of Commerce, our friends at Montana State University Extension, the Montana Economic Developers Association, with additional support from the University of Montana, Accelerate Montana, and Great Falls Development Authority. So again, thank you. Rich Gannon is our presenter today. Rich is a former entrepreneur, recovering entrepreneur, web developer, and works in the Great Falls Small Business Development Center office based out of Cutbank. With that being said, I will close my mouth, and Rich, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. I'm going to share my screen and launch my slideshow. Hopefully everybody can see that. There we go. So like Jason said, my name is Rich Gannon. I'm a small business advisor with Great Falls Montana Development Authority and the Montana Small Business Development Center. Prior to before coming to work for Great Falls Development Authority, I did do web development and web design for a few years. So this is a topic that I know a little bit about. So thank you everybody for joining me on a gorgeous day. Let's take a look at the agenda today. We're going to review some of the e-commerce platforms that are out there. Then we're going to break down the anatomy, what makes a good web page and e-commerce website design. We're going to talk about ways to increase your conversion rate. In other words, ways to make your website perform better. And then we're going to cover what I'm going to call one man's epic quest to buy a light bulb online. It's a cautionary tale. And then finally, we're going to talk about, if you don't have a website, we're still going to cover some ways that you may be able to use the internet to facilitate payments. So first, let's talk about why even bother with e-commerce and selling online. Well, during the pandemic year, you can see this chart. This is a percent of overall retail sales. What percent is e-commerce? You can see during the pandemic year, it almost tripled. It's coming back down a little bit. But the point of this chart here is to say that year in, year out, e-commerce sales grow by 1% per year, meaning every year e-commerce is becoming a larger part of overall retail sales. So bottom line, the internet is here to stay, and you probably should be thinking of ways that you need to be selling online. I know we only have a few people online here, but if you can use the chat, answer these two questions for me. Do you currently have a website, and which platform do you use? And I got to figure out how I can view the chat now. So if you've got a minute.
Rich, I could see
Okay.
it.
Okay. So do we have some people putting chats in there?
Not as of yet.
Okay, that's fine. Feel free if you do. I'm just interested to see what people use out there. So let's cover some of the e-commerce platforms out there. The first two I'm going to talk about, and please don't think of this as an endorsement of any of these particular products. I just want to give people an idea of what's out there and what to expect to pay. So if you are developing a website specifically for e-commerce sales, I'd recommend these two platforms, Shopify and BigCommerce. Now, these website design platforms are built from the ground up to specifically sell a product online. They cost about $350 annually for the baseline package. Slightly steeper learning curve than a few of the other products I'm going to talk about, but these are really great for businesses that are going to have highly variable inventories or huge inventories. They're really scalable, meaning you can ramp up to really big time. And again, these are specifically designed to facilitate e-commerce. So if you want to design a website and you think you might want to do e-commerce later, I would not recommend these. But again, if they're really designed from the ground up for e-commerce, and about that $350 price point annually. If you already have a WordPress website, you can do e-commerce on WordPress by using the WooCommerce plugin. The WooCommerce plugin is free, but all WordPress sites do require hosting. And again, the annual hosting on WordPress, about that $300 price point. Some may be less than that, but to add the e-commerce functionality, look around the $300 price point as well. And finally, there are a lot of really good do-it-yourself drag and drop website platforms out there. And can you guess what the price point is? You can see there about $300 for all of these to facilitate e-commerce. They're a little bit less technical than WordPress, Shopify, or BigCommerce, but these type of platforms are really great if you don't know yet if you want to do e-commerce, but you do need a website, like a simple informational website. You can start with one of these and add the e-commerce functionality later. And they have they're really designed to be a plug and play operation. And within the last 5 years, all of these platforms have come a long way as far as usability. So they are really user friendly. They usually incorporate a lot of different features. And again, because it's so competitive, they're all about that $300 price point for the starting on e-commerce packaging. So now let's break down website design and kind of what makes good website design. Let's take a look at a real world example. This is Goldfox USA. They are a manufacturer based in Conrad, Montana, and they make custom made mining equipment. Let's break down. This is a screenshot of their actual homepage. I'm going to kind of go bit by bit and show you what makes this a good website design. So the first thing is there's a clear call to action button, which means there's a button that tells me what to do, and it is above the fold. So above the fold is a throwback to the newspaper days. Does anybody remember what a newspaper is out there? So you put your most important headline above the fold so someone doesn't have to unfold the newspaper to find that information. So you can see here their call to action, shop our products. I don't have to scroll. I don't have to look for it. It's quick and easy for me to find how to shop their products. The next point I want to feature I want to point out here is they have an easy to understand navigational structure. So these links are going to carry forward on all pages of the website. And a good rule of thumb in website design is there should be no more than 3 clicks between any 2 pages of your website. And in their case, there's really only 1 click to get from one page to any other page on the website. You'd be surprised at how many websites don't put any thought into how people will click around and view the pages. Next thing, this is especially true for small e-commerce people and just small business websites in general. People want a quick and easy way to contact you. So always have either your phone number, email address, or a contact link clearly visible. And you can see it's part of their main navigational structure up here, the contact link. And finally, there's a shopping cart icon that will stick to all the pages. So if I were to go to this page and do some shopping and put something in my cart, and then let's say I want to go watch one of their videos or read more about the company, I can always go back to that shopping cart icon to finish the checkout process. So quick review, a clear call to action above the fold, easy to understand navigational structure, and then that tip, no more than 3 clicks between any 2 pages of the website. If you have more than 3 clicks between any 2 pages of the website, you better have a reason to do that. In other words, just don't make it hard for people to jump in between pages on your website. Easy to contact, easy to find contact info, and again, that shopping cart icon that's going to stick to every single page, no matter where they are on the site. Now let's break down Goldfox's individual product page and kind of point out some features here. So the first thing is multiple product photos. So this, the amount of product photos, a good phrase I've heard is as many product photos as it takes to tell the story of that product. So if you're selling yellow number 2 pencils, you probably don't need 15 product photos. But in this case, these are kind of highly complex little machines they're selling. So again, this is just a screenshot, but if this were a live page, you could scroll through about a dozen or 15 photos from different angles of this product, different colors, things like that. The next thing is there is a descriptive product title. So I can see easily this is the 5-foot deluxe flare sluice. This is really important if you're selling things like, say, shoes, for example. Rather than having a product title called men's shoes, say men's Nike trail runners, something that really describes the product in a quick, easy to understand headline right there. The next thing is a clearly stated price. Don't play games with people on your website by hiding the price behind some other step. Let them know right away what the product price is. Don't make them fill out an email and send it to you first, or don't make them put it in their cart before they see the price. So clearly stated price is always important. Be upfront and transparent about your pricing. And a detailed product description. So similar to the photos, it's going to be exactly related to how complex and how expensive your product is. So you can see this is a pretty complex and expensive little product, $1,600. And if you were to click this read more button, you would see that it would reveal about 3 or 4 more paragraphs that really detail product description. Again, if you're selling yellow number 2 pencils, you don't need a detailed product description in there. So again, the product description is really going to relate to how complex and how expensive the product is. There's another call to action button here on the page. Easy to figure out how to add that product to your cart. So nice, easy, add this to the cart product. And then finally, the view cart icon is still here. So I could put this in my cart and, click around to other sections of the website and easily find my cart to check out. So quick review on that. Again, quality product photos, again, as many images as it takes to tell the story. Descriptive product titles, again, the shoes versus men's Nike trail runners, just a way to distinguish each product using the product title. Clearly, easy to find, transparent price. Detailed product description, again, that will be completely influenced by the product type and price. And then an add to cart button or the buy now button that's easy to find. And I guess I should have put in there, leave that cart icon still on the page. So that kind of talks, walked us through actual anatomy of website design. Now let's talk about conversion rate. So when I talk about conversion rate, I don't necessarily mean sales, although for the remainder of this presentation, I am going to be using it as sales, but conversions could also mean having someone taking certain action on your website. So if you're an attorney, conversion for you could be getting someone to fill out a form on your website. if you're a medical provider, conversion for you could mean someone clicking a button to schedule an appointment. That could be conversion. Or conversions just really could mean sales on your website. How many products are you selling? So the formula is really easy to figure a conversion rate. You take sales divided by total site visitors times 100%. Sales and total site visitors need to be for the same period. So, you want to take your sales in June and divide it by your total site visitors. So in this little fictitious example, and I said, for example, in June, a website makes 23 sales from 540 site visitors. Their conversion rate then is 4.2%. So average conversion rates will vary depending on industry, but from information I found, most conversion rates on the retail side on e-commerce are in the 1.5% to 3%. So in this sample, a 4.2% conversion rate is really good for if they're just doing basic e-commerce sales. So how do you actually figure out your conversion rate? How do you get these stats? Well, most website design programs will have some form of data that will track users so you can figure out total site visitors. If you don't have that on your website, you can get a Google Analytics code that's completely free. You can go to that website, get a little code, you drop that into your website. It will produce user statistics of your website so you know how many people are visiting your site. Sales or conversions will be very easy because you'll be able to track sales or total number of people who submit a form, something like that. Once you have those two pieces of data, then it's really easy to figure out what your conversion rate is. And why do you need to know your conversion rate? Well, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And unless you have a 100% conversion rate, you can always get better. And I don't think there's anyone out there that has a 100% conversion rate. So you should know your conversion rate so you can help improve it. So how can you improve your conversion rate? Well, here's some tips. The first one is to optimize page speed. So Google is now doing some ranking factors on page speed. So try to decrease the amount of time it takes your page to load. 3 seconds is kind of where you should be aiming, but always faster is better. So if you can get it below a 3-second load time, you're doing really great. This little stat here, I found that Walmart, for every 1 second they improved their load time, they increased conversions by 2%, which is huge, right? Considering most average retail e-commerce are in the 1.5% to 3%. If they can increase it by 2%, that's a huge number. And here's 2 website addresses where you can go to test your load times. So you can go to both of these websites. You can drop your web address in there, click test, and then it'll run some diagnostics on your website. It'll give you a letter grade. In some cases, you get a B+ or a D-, or they'll give you actual load time down to the millisecond. And they'll give you suggestions on how you can improve your load time. Another way to increase conversion is consider adding an abandoned cart email automation. So most e-commerce platforms will have this function. And what this is someone has visited your website, they've put something in their cart, they've started the checkout process long enough to give you their email address, but then for some reason they don't complete the transaction. So this happens all the time. In fact, almost 75% of e-commerce results in an abandoned cart. So that means 75% of visitors on the internet will put something in their shopping cart and not complete that transaction. So adding this automation, what happens is someone will go to your website, put something in their cart, start the checkout process to the point which you have their email address, and then they'll quit. In the email automation, then you can program it to, 24 hours later or 36 hours later, send them an email. It's like, hey, remember me? You put these Nike Trail Runner shoes in your cart. Would you like to complete this transaction? So almost half of people who send these emails, almost half of those are opened. And of the ones that actually get clicked, almost a third of those result in a sale. So that's really an effective way to get people back on your website and complete that transaction. Consider adding live chat to your website. So again, most e-commerce platforms will have this function, and a growing number of consumers really prefer this method. So this is where someone's on the website and they're looking at one of your products, but they don't find the information they want on it. and the live chat is down there, they can pop in and say, hey, do these shoes come in size 12 in black or something like that? So some stats I found on this, people who chat tend to spend 60% more on each purchase, and they're almost 3 times more likely to actually convert or actually buy a product if they've used a live chat on the website. So, and then most of these live chat platforms are set up so where you can program your chat. In other words, you don't need to be up at 3 a.m. chatting with customers on your website. You can say, chat is available from 8 to 5, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that. Also, most of these chat features are compatible with a smartphone, so you don't need to be chained to your desktop. You can have your smartphone ping you if someone's on your website wanting to chat. So I'd really encourage you to look at live chat as a way to increase conversions. The other thing you can do is you can do A/B testing. So what this is you would take a copy of your homepage and manipulate one little element on it. So let's go back to the Gold Fox example. Their Shop Now button was in the bottom 2/3 of their website. They could do an A/B test where they move that Shop Now button to, the top third of the website. With the tool called Google Optimize, you can basically make a duplicate of your homepage, and then you can manipulate one little element. And then with that little code of Google Optimize slipped into your homepage, when someone visits the website, Google makes a split-second decisions and either serves them up the original homepage or the manipulated homepage. And then over time, you just figure out which website results in a higher conversion. So Google will just do that randomly. If you want to do an equal 50-50 split, 50% of the visitors will see the original homepage, the other 50% would see the manipulated homepage. And then, like I said, over time, you would just analyze if one of them has a different conversion rate. Google Optimize is free to use. It's really not very technical. If you can access a little bit of code on your website, you can start doing A/B testing. The last one I want to talk about is consider adding free shipping to your website. So a lot of consumers are used to doing free shipping. I make fun of my wife all the time. She refuses to pay for shipping on websites, and she will spend more to not pay shipping. I always scratch my head and go, I don't think that was a great deal, but she'll spend $12 more to save $8 in shipping. So consider doing thresholds on this. So like, let's say you've discovered that your average transaction on online orders is $40 and your average item is $10. Well, you could offer free shipping on orders of $50 or more, which would encourage someone to drop another item into their basket to get free shipping. So it would increase your average transaction amount. When you do this, though, it's really important to understand your shipping costs and your overall product margins, because if it costs a lot to ship and you've got really razor thin margins, obviously you don't want to be losing money on these transactions. But with that said, you may want to start considering the lifetime value of a customer. So if you're offering free shipping to a customer, having that customer in your door and adding them to your email marketing, is that worth it? So the lifetime value of the customer is really important when you consider that sort of thing. So now we're going to talk about one man's epic quest to buy a light bulb online, and that man is me. And I was about a month ago, while I was preparing this presentation, I actually went through this. So I thought this is a perfect illustration of exactly what not to do on e-commerce. I want to illustrate some things here. So I have a range hood over the top of my stove, and 2 of my light bulbs went out at the exact same time, well, maybe about a week apart. So I kind of started digging into the stove, and I need to replace these 2 light bulbs. So I went to the manufacturing website and typed in light bulb replacement. I found this website, this web page. I started reading it. I thought this looks good. And right here, here's the replacement bulb. So I get the part number and thought, oh, this is perfect. So I read through, and I read the page once, I read the page twice, I read the page 3 times. No call to action, no information how I can order this part number, nothing. What's my next step? So that's strike 1. So I clicked around their website. Finally, within, I don't know, maybe something about their support, I found their parts and service page. So I thought, here's a map, perfect. I clicked on Montana, nothing happened. I clicked on Montana again, nothing happened. I clicked on Washington, Idaho, nothing happened on this webpage. So finally, I read the directions on this website that said, distributor information will be displayed below the map. So when you click on this page, nothing happens above the fold. Below the fold, some information loads. There would be no way to tell this happens unless you scroll. So there we are, strike number 2, put important stuff above the fold. So I finally got the information. So there's another website I have to go visit to check out this part. So I clicked over to this website, and my light bulb is $73. And I go, oh no. $73 for one light bulb. So remember what I said a few slides ago about how a product description should be in there if the price is high and if it's a technical item. So I'm not going to spend $73 unless I know what the technical information. There's no details on this $73 light bulb. So I'm not going to go buy that if I don't know that's exactly the light bulb I need. So now I'm looking around, and it would be really helpful if I could find a contact information or live chat to figure out if this is the correct light bulb. So I'll give everybody a minute to scan this screenshot. How do I contact this company? The short answer is there's no quick apparent way to contact them. So we're at strike number 3 now, and I'm getting a little frustrated. So I go back to Google. I know the part number, so I go back to Google and I found another website, completely different website with a little bit more product detail, which is good. And I learned that it's a proprietary light bulb. So that's awesome. I bought a range hood that has proprietary light bulbs that are between $54 and $73. So I'm really happy. But I went ahead and added this product to my cart, but I wanted to read a little bit more about this company. Why are their light bulbs now $25 less? And I wanted to know if this was a legitimate company. So I clicked around their website. I watched a few of their videos. I read about them, and I thought, you know what? These guys look like they know what they're doing. I'm ready to check out and buy my light bulb. And so I'm going to go ahead and buy my light bulb. But does anybody see any issues now with what's going on? So the answer is, where's my shopping cart? I put that item in my shopping cart. I can't go back to it. So I've said it about 3 or 4 times. Shopping cart icon needs to stick to all pages. And here's a perfect example of why. This business lost my sale because it's like, I don't know how to get back to my cart, and I'm not going to spend time searching that item again. So they lost my sale. So I went back to this website and finally found their contact information, which was about 3 pages deep inside of their About Us section. And I finally found a phone number. So I know what you're asking is, did I actually buy a light bulb online? And the answer is no. I had to use the telephone to buy a light bulb. I felt like I was living in 2004. I had to give my credit card over the phone, and then they mailed it. So, but I am the proud owner of 2 $74 light bulbs plus $7.99 shipping. So Hulk was very angry after the light bulb situation. Now I know where to buy a light bulb, though. Finally, we're going to talk about, if you don't have a website, how can you sell things online? So a lot of people, you know, in services industries out there, they don't have a website. A plumber may not be able to sell an item online, but you can do things on the internet to help decrease payment friction. So one way is you could email customers invoices that they could pay online. So a lot of your accounting software like QuickBooks, Quickens, and there's another one that I used called Wave, you can email your customers invoices. We'll give them a secure link where they can use a credit card to pay you. Another thing you should consider doing is start taking text payments. So Venmo has a commercial account. You can be a business on Venmo and send people a text to get paid online. So really the reason you're going to be doing that is it will decrease your accounts receivable time and increase your cash flow. So when I was doing freelance website design, I switched to sending over all digital invoices, and it sped up my accounts receivable by over a month. No longer did I have to sit at the end of the month, print out invoices, stuff envelopes, put a stamp on them, and wait for someone to mail a check to me. I could email a customer right as soon as I was done with the job. They would pay me within 2 or 3 days. Now, I had to pay 3% transaction fee for that, but it was really worth it in order to increase my cash flow and decrease accounts receivable time. Also, it saved me a ton of time just doing all that mechanical stuff of mailing invoices. Finally, if you are a brick and mortar store and you have a point of sale machine, make sure you're set up to start taking things like Apple Pay, Google Pay. People are leaving their wallets at home now. People are, paying with their watches. I feel like we're living in the future when I can just bump my watch up against something and pay for it. So make sure you've got that stuff enabled at your point of sale machine. So that is it for the presentation today. Kind of short and sweet, but happy to take any questions. If anybody wants me to go over anything again, I will share the slide deck with everybody. I'm going to unshare my screen here, I think. And does anybody have any questions?
Yep. Rich, just leave your email address and contact information up there.
Yeah.
Folks, go ahead and type your questions in the chat. There's only 2 of you, so I suppose we could unmute and ask the question as well. But I guess, Rich, while folks are doing that, are you willing or able to assist people with any and all of the things that you discussed today?
Yeah, you bet. I mean, if people just want to, if people just want another set of eyes on their website to get back, I can also help, if you do have access to your website, if you want to set up A/B testing, I can help you do that sort of stuff too as well.
So you did talk a lot about product sales. There at the end, you talked about some service providers. What are your thoughts on having service providers enable payment options on their website so that so customers don't have to figure out another way to pay?
Well, I mean, obviously, anytime you can give customers options of what they need, I mean, that's a win, right? So, I mean, if that's your question, yes, I figure out all the ways your customers could pay. Doing it online, again, decreases your time spent tracking that stuff and will increase your cash flow.
So really, you're talking about the customer journey and having business owners think through the customer's experience, and then ultimately give them as many opportunities to pay you for a product or service, or remind them to pay you quickly and easily as possible. Again, from the customer's approach, is that what you're describing?
Right. And just like my example of that light bulb, the person who put that first web page up about the, replace it with this, here's how you replace the light bulb, here's the product number. They didn't think through someone who was actually going to be using that information to buy that, because there was no information on how to take the next step to facilitate that. So they weren't putting themselves in the shoes of a customer. And that's really what a lot of business owners forget to do, is they get so involved in what they're doing, they forget to look at the perspective of their website through the eyes of a customer, not through their own eyes.
Any questions from our attendees? Brad, Pam, Jen? Brad has a question. How much time would you estimate to set up the site?
It depends on what you're doing and how many products you've got and what your technical know-how on website design is. I mean, I start to finish, that's such a hard question to answer, because it really depends on how long does it take to build a house? Well, how big is the house? How customized is the house? There's really not one answer, I guess.
How many products?
Rich, this is Brad. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I've got a professional services consulting type activity.
Mm-hmm.
So from a services perspective, I'm not sure if the I may take a different route in terms of the platform that I would utilize. In the past, I've done some of the, the WordPress and Stack and stuff through GoDaddy. I've got it on hold right now. I'm kind of trying to pivot one direction, but just getting a general idea of, it sounds like it's pretty straightforward as far as the setup.
Yeah, I mean, some of those other platforms I mentioned at the end, like Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, those are really designed to be pretty straightforward drag and drop tools. And if you've got some of your content already, doing the design portion of it, I mean, 10 hours, something like that. I don't know. It again depends on how exactly what you're doing, but if you can put together a PowerPoint, you can build a website in one of those website builders.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
And Brad, I'd certainly be happy to jump on a Zoom with you one-on-one and kind of walk through some of those options as well.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. I'll put together, like I say, I've got the website on hold right now. It's kind of locked in while I figure out what I'm going to do. But yeah, I'll put together a PowerPoint, maybe hook up some time, maybe in a couple of weeks or something to kind of maybe walk through that real quickly.
Yeah, you bet. That'd
be great. Thanks.
Brad, I would suggest just shoot Rich an email there, and he'll get you his calendar or schedule a time. Jennifer Stevens, our partner at UM, has a question. Rich, how much are people using payment methods like Venmo, Apple Pay, and so on? And do you have a priority list for which of those payment methods a person should set up first?
Good question. No, I don't. I think it would depend on exactly what type of service you're offering and how you're doing it. Let's say if I were someone doing in-home service, like a plumber, and especially if I were, working with younger homeowners or something like that, I would prioritize something like Venmo versus Apple Pay or something like that. I mean, people under 30 probably use Venmo more than they write checks, right? But then if you're doing, if you have a point of sale machine, maybe look at the Apple Pay or Google Pay over Venmo. Venmo is strictly kind of a text payment method.
It's an interesting question, I think, because it almost drives at who your customers are most likely. What are their age and gender demographics? And if you understand who your customer most likely is, that may answer the question. Which platform is most utilized by a certain age and gender demographic?
Right. I mean, I've got nieces and nephews that are college age. I doubt any of them have checkbooks, but I know they use Venmo all the time.
I would also then say, Rich, maybe the kind of broad answer to that question is, if you've got 3 different target markets or customer segments and they fit into age and gender demographics of certain categories, have one each.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. If you're a plumber and you're dealing with someone in their mid to late 40s, email them an invoice. They can pay with a credit card. If you're dealing with a homeowner who's 25, consider sending them a Venmo to get paid. That sort of thing. So yes, giving people options is always great.
And kind of leads to the title of the presentation today, reducing payment friction. Some of these things you could just probably also have as options on your Google page. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I believe so. I think you can just offer payment through that as well. And again, those accounting systems have really easy setup to send email electronic invoices. So if you're using QuickBooks or Quicken, there's a feature in there where you can start sending electronic invoices.
One last round of call for questions. Any other last thoughts, Rich, while folks are coming up with last questions?
No, like I said, though, feel free to email me. I can get you my calendar. Like I said, I'm happy to work one-on-one. Even if it's just taking a look at your website, doing some speed checks on it, things like that, seeing where you're at on where you fall on some of that stuff.
Good deal. Doesn't look like we have any additional questions. Oh, Pam's asking, how do you like Wave?
I really like Wave. It's completely free, but I found it to be a pretty robust accounting system. You know, it probably can't do some of the bells and whistles that the paid systems use, but other than that, it's the real deal. You just need to, it's all online. You just need internet access to access it.
So maybe to that end, if there are questions that people on live or viewers of the recording down the line may have, I would direct you, I'm biased obviously, but I would direct folks to their SBA resource partner programs, women's business centers, veterans business outreach centers, SCORE chapters, or small business development centers. All of those program services are no cost and can be found anywhere in the state. So one last round of call for questions before we end our presentation today. Rich, any final thoughts?
Nope. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in on such a beautiful Thursday. It's bright and sunny, and I'm sure a lot of people would rather be outside right now. So I appreciate you spending time with me.
And thank you again to our sponsors, the Montana Small Business Development Centers associated with the Montana Department of Commerce, powered by the U.S. Small Business Administration. Montana State University Extension is our presentation sponsor for the Small Business Webinar Series. Thanks to the Montana Economic Developers Association, Great Falls Development Authority, and the University of Montana's Accelerate Montana program. Coming up in our July webinar, we're going to talk about the hot topic of the day for most employers, trying to find somebody to work for you. The content is targeting alternate talent pools. We're not going to talk about next month on July 1st. We're not going to be talking about compensation, benefits, or company culture. We're not going to be talking about specifically how to write a job description or where to post that. This is going to be more targeting alternate talent pools, so where you may not be currently looking to find talent. With that, thank you, Joel. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Jen. Thank you to our attendees and those who are going to watch the recorded version. That's all for us. We'll see you in July. Bye, everybody.
Bye.